All right, welcome everyone. Let's go ahead and get started. My name is Valerie DiMartino. First, I'd like to thank you for attending and taking time out of your day to be with us here. I think it will be served well. Over the next maybe 30, 45 minutes, we're going to be discussing how to keep virtual desktop users happy by modernizing connectivity. So joining me today is Chris Duran. He's one of the founding consultants at Zentegra, which is one of our key partners. And Chris has leveraged his degree in information systems to become an experienced IT engineering, admin, and project manager for companies in multiple industries, including finance, automotive retail, transportation, manufacturing, and technology. Data center and cloud-centric ecosystems are where Chris accelerates his expertise. And delivering these ecosystems to customers in both technology and business terms so that world-class solutions can be developed and deployed is what Chris and the Zentegra consulting team strive to achieve for all their clients. And under Chris's direction, Zentegra Consulting Services employ today's best and ever-changing virtualization components to deliver solutions for your software-defined data center needs. So welcome, Chris.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Sure. My name is Valerie DiMartino. I'm Principal Product Marketing Manager at Citrix for SD-WAN Solutions, and glad to be here with you. So very quickly, I want to take a look at the landscape to set the stage here in the market. What we're seeing is businesses now reevaluating ways to enhance security and the employee experience for their hybrid workforce. And organizations are now moving towards they were moving towards a post-pandemic workplace. I'm not sure anymore what we can say. But as organizations are shifting and things keep changing and are very fluid, it's very important to look at the long-term, solutions and strategies that are going to help empower your employees with new flexible work policies. So as everything becomes unprecedented. And as a result, we're seeing an increased need to scale up quickly while providing a secure and productive environment to meet long-term demands for flexibility. And you can see here, Gartner is forecasting that the number of users for DaaS, which is desktops as a service, is going to grow by over 150% between 2020 and 2023. And one of the main reasons behind this growth is really the need to set up cost-effective and secure remote workspaces for organizations embracing the benefits of distributed work, which is pretty much the vast majority. And DaaS is providing a secure and scalable solution to meet that need. So Chris, what are the challenges with the hybrid workforce and a traditional network architecture, as many people still have in place, when shifting to DaaS and SaaS?
The challenges, are that we're pinning a lot of that traffic back through the data center. So all these remote people now in this hybrid.
Is this Chris that I'm losing, or are you guys still with us?
Valerie, I'm still here. I think we lost Chris.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Should we text him and let him know?
Hold on, everybody. This is live webinar and these things happen. So let me just text him. He's probably still talking a lot of people.
He's traveling. He did upgrade his Wi-Fi where he is in Chicago, but he is traveling. I can sort of start speaking to this as well.
We got you, Chris. You're back.
Okay.
There I am.
Okay.
Haven't had any problems at the hotel for days, and now it just dropped on me, of course. Timing is everything. Yes, so yeah, we start out talking about now that DaaS is a big player, folks are adopting that and shifting to that kind of platform. We had traditionally steered all that traffic for these remote users back through the data center, but that's an extra hop that we're looking at that point. So if we have to become more efficient with it, then we need to offer more solutions for direct access to those services, regardless of where they are. And that's the issue that we're kind of looking at and discussing today, and how do we overcome some of those challenges. And Citrix, of course, has the SD-WAN solution to help us adhere to that and become more flexible with how we're delivering those solutions to our users. Of course, with that delivery piece comes the security as well, since that traditional kind of network architecture where we're steering everybody back through the data center, you know, that also enables new vulnerabilities as we allow our users to connect to our data center, you know. So by having those kind of holes and options for different exploits and security vulnerabilities on the user's endpoints, you know, we have to adjust and secure those as well as be able to deliver it. So that's one of the main issues that we kind of look at in today's world, especially with the hybrid workforce, and connecting in an efficient manner to be able to deliver those services quickly. And what it all comes down to is the user experience. You know, if they're not happy, then the solution needs to change. And the Citrix SD-WAN solution helps us to be able to deliver that ultimate user experience for our users.
I want to just point out one thing that's, as we're sticking on the challenges here, Chris, is that, you know, a lot of times it's a hybrid cloud scenario, right? And then they still have to connect the cloud back to the data center for the back-end databases and the Active Directory and things like that. So you're seeing a lot of, I'm sure, express route or direct connect and things like that being applied for that cloud to data center connectivity. But that's often very cost prohibitive, especially in terms of a distributed workforce with many sites or people working from home now and things like that. So it really maybe doesn't apply so much beyond just that one critical area of connectivity. Is that kind of what you're seeing mostly, or do you also see people on the left here, the scenario of like sort of direct breakout to the gateway in Citrix Cloud without SD-WAN? So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we definitely need to connect them in a more efficient point-to-point manner. I think a really good example of that, not only the Citrix desktops, but think of like your voice solutions. You know, that's always got the highest priority in the stack of QoS and just about every vendor, but specifically, you know, even Citrix puts the VoIP over in the HDX protocols in their QoS stacks. So that direct connection to be able to adhere and connect with those services is important. Without that kind of direct connection, then we have that extra latency that's applied as the traffic is pinning through the data center. We're kind of hurting the user experience at that point. So having an intelligent tool that acts like a curator for steering that traffic to the most appropriate place in the most efficient manner is one of the major roles of the Citrix SD-WAN solution.
Yeah, latency is always the enemy, right?
It definitely is.
So let's talk a little bit more about what Citrix SD-WAN is and how it can help, especially in terms of delivering Citrix DaaS solutions, whether it's, you know, VDI or actual managed desktops and SaaS as well, as you started getting into.
Yeah. So the SD-WAN, yes, it's directly built for that. And I know that there's a lot of other folks that offer your SD-WAN, and you might get it from your ISP, whoever might be putting the link in, just kind of throws it into the bundle. And they all kind of bundle the links together. So they're aggregating some of those links together, but they're not, are they really doing it as efficiently as Citrix SD-WAN? So no, they're not. So we're actually steering into that protocol and dissecting it, and actually steering the individual channels on a per packet basis with the Citrix SD-WAN solution. And folks will say, yeah, you know, our solution prioritizes ICA protocol, you know, and we can take advantage of that. But at the end of the day, there's a difference between optimizing and putting ICA kind of at the higher end of the QoS stack versus actually being able to see inside of the protocol. And that's the differentiator with the Citrix SD-WAN solution for sure. To deliver that best user experience. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really for a lot of different applications and services, whether in the cloud or on-prem. So you can see here kind of covers a wide range of solutions that need a lot of prioritization and optimization to make sure that there's good quality. So you've got the real-time traffic, the DaaS, and these are integral to the business being up and running.
Yeah, just like we're on a HDX or we're on a Teams meeting right now, you know, that's inside of the HDX protocol, we can optimize that. It's like, can the other guys do that? And it's like, no.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. Can you talk a little bit about how Citrix SD-WAN, you know, looks into that ICA protocol or HDX protocol and treats it a little differently than another vendor's SD-WAN solution would?
So yeah, definitely. And it kind of comes back to the deployment options that you're looking at. And that's really important, the way that you're deploying this. So I think when you're kind of looking at this in the beginning, it's like, oh, I got to put this on the edge, or I'm going to have to inject it into my current underlying network. And it's like, no, you really don't. You can put this off to the side. It can be a new piece inside of the data center, a new technology that doesn't interfere or even touch any of the other technologies that you might have in the data center. So I see some customers that are like, well, the Citrix team wants to lead with something new and innovative for the year, but you know, they might not traditionally have support from the networking side of the house. So you might see the Citrix guys kind of come around and do like a proof of concept and then show some value in the SD-WAN solution and how it's optimizing and making everything better for you. So coming back to that protocol, how are we optimizing it and looking at it? We're deploying it specifically for the way that the users will connect. So a lot of folks probably on the meeting here are familiar with Storefront and how the beacons work and why they're in place, you know, and we're taking advantage of that so that users that might be on the branch side of the SD-WAN tunnel, they're connecting in, they don't have to necessarily go through the Citrix gateway. We could have a direct connection to that VDA. That's removing, again, an additional hop that might have to take place. So we have even direct connection between that user's workspace app and the VDA inside of the data center or inside of the cloud. And we're streaming those protocols and those channels that we can look at with the SD-WAN's policies and classes that we have applied out of the box to optimize and really bring the best user experience that you can possibly deliver. There's just no other way around it. You know, it's like we can see inside of those individual channels with the SD-WAN solution from Citrix and optimize them, and out of the box they are configured and tweaked to the point where it's a pretty fast deployment.
Yeah. Okay, great. And, you know, we have to give the nod to the hybrid work solution here because it's, you know, hybrid work obviously has revolutionized the way that we're all working now and doing our jobs. And in fact, that, you know, we can see research that shows that more than 90% of employees actually prefer remote work. And 82% of companies plan to embrace hybrid models to accommodate it and to capitalize on the benefits it can drive, you know, obviously monetary. But again, that transition comes with risk. And the network architectures that are in place today, the traditional ones that are in place, are basically incompatible with the shift to the hybrid work and to the cloud that goes along with that. So today, even with the prevalence of remote work, IT still, in fact, has no visibility or control over the worker's home network. And to support a remote or hybrid workforce, IT is going to have to put in place a long-term strategy to address those performance and security needs. And for remote workers to really be productive, they're going to require resilient, high-quality workspace experience for their SaaS and their UCaaS, their cloud, their web, their virtual desktops and apps, et cetera. So the moral is that a poor user experience can ruin everyone's day. And in fact, on Zentegra's website, it says end users can make or break a deployment. So I'm sure that you're very familiar with this. So my question to you, Chris, is what can we offer the small branch offices, those micro branches, and the at-home workers in critical roles? We have, executives, contact centers, financial workers, et cetera, that just cannot be down. They're talking to customers, et cetera, that are going to require that always-on network connectivity.
Yeah. So yes, with the introduction of the 110 appliance from Citrix, we do have now that opportunity to deploy a physical appliance at a user's home, for example, and still offer them we can replace like maybe what their ISP at home had put into place. My vendor, they put in a modem. It had Wi-Fi built into it. Well, I can shut that off now. Just use it as a modem, plug it into the 110 appliance, and have direct connectivity to the data center and all my resources right out of the gate. So it's stood up really quickly. It's interacting. It gives me the Wi-Fi that my home users need, and I can also have the LTE backup capabilities in there as well. So if there is a failure with my ISP at home, I don't have a whole lot of options out, kind of a little bit out of the city these days, but I do have very good LTE capabilities. So with these appliances, I'd have that backup. I always look at things like having high availability. Always recommend it with the NetScalers, ADCs, and even the SD-WAN appliances in the data center. But at that home, now you have the option to have that extra high availability of access to your services that you rely on and you have to complete your job and be successful at it.
Yeah, and we can almost think of it as like cost switching, right? In terms of like real estate, and now like what the employees are requiring at home is just part of the package of getting them up and running. And like their cell phone is one thing. Like we can kind of equate the cost of the 110 in some ways to that, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so you kind of break it down. So I mean, having that LTE alongside the broadband, and then also giving IT visibility into both of those links, and the performance of those in real time is really pretty amazing.
Yeah, it definitely
Okay.
is, and security play always comes into that as well. So I can't count the number of times I've been in a consulting environment and I'm working with the client, and they just set me up an account. They shoot me over some kind of VPN client. They have absolutely no idea really what's on my computer. It could be a Trojan horse for sure. Just now I'm connected to just about everything. I know that they can do it right and kind of segment the traffic inside of the data center, but not all of them do that. Some places you connect and it's like, wow, I can see absolutely everything inside of this customer's infrastructure. If I had a vulnerability on my machine, it could be dangerous.
Yeah, because now, I mean, think about it, you've got the remote users using their own endpoint devices in many cases, checking their email, clicking on, who knows what. So, yeah, and if they're a trusted user in a VPN, that can be disastrous.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so I am going to try to do a poll, and let me see if I can launch this. This is my first time doing this in Teams, so. All right, let's see.
Yep, I see it. Okay,
great. If you guys can take a second to look and answer, have you or do you plan to deploy SD-WAN before or after security initiatives? Or do you see this more as a single endeavor? Give you guys a few more seconds. All right, let me see if we can get the results here. Okay, can you guys see that?
Yes.
You can, okay. So it's split 50-50 between two answers. One is deploying both SD-WAN and security together from a single vendor, and the other one is not sure yet. So pretty interesting. It really fell into just those two buckets. Okay,
Yeah,
so
a little surprised about that, but I mean, it's kind of good to see, people have been thinking about it.
Yeah, because we kind of see, sometimes people are still looking at just the network or doing things sequentially more so than altogether, but that's great. So I am going to assume, based on the results of that poll, that a lot of people on this call are familiar with the acronym SASE, which is the sort of term that's been coined by Gartner a couple of years ago, and it came about as the landscape's becoming more complex in terms of the infrastructure with security and the edge, everybody moving out towards the edge and applications moving out towards the cloud and SaaS. And so now people are looking to choose the right security and network architecture technologies that are going to help them consolidate and modernize their infrastructure, which can be a bit daunting. So, with the new hybrid work model, that adds another angle to it. They're going to have to be evaluating their existing infrastructure to identify gaps and the best approaches to protect their technology investments that they already have that are working potentially, and reduce complexity and eliminate those silos that exist. So Chris, what is SASE in sort of your view, and why should the audience care as it relates to this?
It's the Secure Access Service Edge, is basically what it stands for. And it's like a combination of network and security. And some of those security pieces are going to be cloud hosted and off of the customer's network. And if you're not familiar with SASE, I kind of look at it as you think of a neighborhood that you might live in, and you might have on your property, you might have a gate at the end of your driveway, which would represent like your on-prem firewall. But what if your neighborhood in general had a gate at the front of that? So it's not on your property, but it's, before it gets to your neighborhood, at the edge of your neighborhood. And I kind of look at SASE and some of the components that play into that as kind of like a combination of your home security, what you have at your house, and then the neighborhood in general. Does it have access to can everybody just walk right into your neighborhood, or is there some kind of perimeter fence or security gates to some degree, not necessarily like a penitentiary or anything, but you look at that, there's two hops there, and there's a gap between your driveway and the front of your neighborhood, as an example. And that's kind of how I see it in my head. Everybody kind of pitches in and subscribes to that. If there is a guardhouse at that neighborhood, you got a nice neighborhood, of course, if you have a guardhouse, but you're paying, a little bit for maybe a security guard to be there, or the gates to be taken care of. And that's how I kind of see it. In the Citrix SD-WAN, I've always liked this slide. It really helps kind of break it out. There's a lot of different examples that show a very similar result, and this slide kind of really helps put that into your head, where the Citrix SD-WAN is, like, I look at it as kind of like the foundation of your SASE journey. It can come at a later point. You could start with the Citrix SIA component in your environment. You might not even be a Citrix traditional CVAD shop, but you could still leverage and protect your users and your data at a greater degree by using something like the secure internet access. But then it's like when you start going down the path of the additional components to check off with the SASE journey that you're on, you could, in the beginning or later, introduce the Citrix SD-WAN solution. And why I find that that's ultimately a very important part of that journey is because it does more than just that link aggregation. So we can use GRE tunnels on the SD-WAN to automatically steer selected traffic to the secure internet access for evaluation, and reporting, and the analytics that everybody wants these days. So you can quickly leverage that SD-WAN appliance, and again, just not the link aggregation, but use it as more of a bridge to connect to some of these other off-prem offerings that are presented to us from Citrix now.
Yeah,
very cool.
Great. So you've got this customer in finance that you're working with, and I wanted to give you some time to talk about the real world use case that's going on. And we're looking here at the guts of an ATM machine. So
Yeah.
take us in.
So we have a customer that's on the verge of rolling Citrix SD-WAN out to a lot of different places that include not only the branch sites, but the ATM machines. So, and you see this like on, I'll get a soda out of the Coke machine too, and you'll see the antennas on them and stuff nowadays. So these are smart machines inside of them. There's a lot of valuable stuff in it apparently, so they want to keep that thing connected. So they're pulling in, a traditional commodity ISP link. And then for backup purposes, they're leveraging the LTE capabilities of the SD-WAN solution. So it'll help them to be able to distribute and stand these ATMs up in a relatively quick manner and provide, high availability for the connectivity that it needs to do its job securely and quickly. So yeah,
what kind of
pretty
challenges were they experiencing before?
Deployment time mainly, and then just lack of options as far as, they might place this thing in the middle of a parking lot, or, all it takes is some kind of construction around the area and they're losing access to it. And an ATM stuffed full of money, when that thing goes offline, and it's kind of like you're scratching your head because it might be 100 miles away, well, maybe somebody should go out there and check it out, but if you had that secondary link, it might give you another option to be able to verify that it's still online and it's working and customers can access it and interact with it.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, so that takes us to our second and last poll question here. So what's the biggest challenge you would address if you were to implement SASE? You need to quickly deploy new sites? Do you want to reduce networking and security complexity or gain visibility? Do you need to address the user experience issues with with your hybrid workforce and/or DaaS and SaaS? And do you need secure access to the internet and SaaS for a hybrid workforce? Just choose the most impactful one. Okay, 5 more seconds. All right, so, all right, 3 answers this time. The first one was 0. The second one and the third one are tied at 43%. So reduce complexity, address the user experience issues with the hybrid workforce, SaaS, DaaS, and then 14% for secure access to the internet and SaaS for a hybrid workforce. Great, thank you so much for the insight. Lots of challenges to address. So Chris, obviously you're a managed service provider that offers SD-WAN and managed services on top of that, as well as SASE. So can you talk a little bit about why managed services has gained so much popularity in deploying these solutions? And we'll lead in a little bit to some of the cost savings, because obviously that's another expense.
Yeah, definitely. So, well, with the MSP, with Zentegra, for example, we can offer the expertise that Zentegra has with deploying these. You also get the 24/7 monitoring, a second set of eyes on everything to help assist you. And it's kind of like you get into a team environment at that point. So you're not just buying a technology solution, you're also getting the expertise and the help from our organization as well. So it helps alleviate a lot of the concerns that customers might have. They kind of go in knowing that we're going to be there for them long term, which any way that we look at it would be there for them long term. But using and leveraging the MSP, it's the team effort. We have access through the Citrix orchestrator to help manage the devices. So you have the same insight that we have. We can make, it's a team effort again, so we're working together to make sure that it's up and running and you're getting the results that you desire and why you went into that. On the, where you see that it makes sense and how grateful people are is like when you go into a deployment, you know, and say like a big carrier puts the SD-WAN into the data center and they aggregate some of the links, but the customer has zero control over those devices at that point. So there's some, they may have some kind of access to it. They might have to go open a ticket for it, but you know, there's hoops that you got to jump through. Whereas when you're working with somebody like Xentegra from the managed services side, then we're again a team effort. So yeah, this was a good slide that was that we've presented a few times in the past. So we really kind of go in to looking at, like, there's always going to be some kind of cost, whether like your provider gives you the appliance, you know, they're hiding the cost under that monthly recurring cost that the links are costing you. So what we do is, for a lot of customers, we'll come in, we find that there's some kind of savings that, of course, we can have by removing the MPLS circuits that are expensive. This slide has, I think it has some of that, the numbers on that. But in this example, the customer wanted to remove the MPLS links. You know, I think total they were saving over 25% per year after the second year. So there's shifting away from the CapEx cost of having to procure all of that. We move it more to the CapEx model. And I had that backwards.
OpEx.
Yeah, OpEx, not CapEx. So yeah, we definitely help ease the pain that customers might have by moving that model, so that's recurring. Long-term cost is kind of minimized. Nothing big is presented to you right off of the bat, and again, it's kind of like you're subscribing to a service at that point. So we help you select the models that you're going to use and the locations that you're going to use it based on the technical specifications of what you're looking to deliver. And then after that's rolled out and put into place, then, you know, again, we're there for you to help manage it, drive it, monitor it, and you have full control of it. So if there's a new technology, a new SaaS app, a new place where you're hosting your DaaS and your virtual desktops and applications, then we can help with our expertise and experience, help steer and make the proper modifications to your deployment with you. And then doing that year over year with you, you know, you're ultimately saving money. So we find that when we first start having some of these discussions that we have folks with Xentegra that's all they do. They look for the best internet links that they can provide in your location. And then we can present inside of a package the SD-WAN solution, as well as alternatives to what you may have only thought that you had options for as far as connectivity is concerned. So yeah, this example was a pretty good one here.
Great, thanks. And then I wanted to give you the opportunity to provide some advice on those that are still in the planning or in the learning phase of their journey. So I think there's a lot that goes into the assessment side of things to get started, right?
Yeah, definitely. We offer micro assessments to help with the planning. Some folks, you know, there's multiple different ways to deploy the SD-WAN solutions. And one doesn't fit everybody, so it's really great that we have the options inside of the Citrix solution to kind of position these appliances where they can be the least intrusive to the environment while still optimizing and gaining the full benefit of the technologies. So we can come in and do an assessment. We call them micro assessments. We can look at the environment, help you uncover some of the layers that maybe you weren't even aware of as far as the underlay network, so that when we look at deploying the overlay network with the SD-WAN, we're properly placing the appliances in the correct location, so that one, the speed to ramp it up is relatively low if we do the proper due diligence beforehand, and then once we're to the point where you're ready to roll it out to your customers and services, then it's a lot quicker, again, if that due diligence is done up front. So the assessment is very critical with the success factor at play there.
Yep, great. And we're nearing the very end here. I wanted to make sure if you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat. We'll be happy to take them.